Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. I'm your Matt. I'm Matt, your lore master for today. That is a absolute world record botch within 5 seconds of the opening crawl. Classic. Broken the world record. Yeah, again. Wonderful. I'm Matt. I'm your lore master for today as we do our One Ring, One Shot. Isn't that a pleasing little statement to say? Yeah, if you're not familiar, we run all kinds of role-playing stuff, and I'll do a little bit of promo, but after I introduce John, our stream manager for today, one of our veteran stream managers now. John is going to be tinkering away in the background, throwing around art, and because of the nature of this, we've got some lovely screenshots from Lord of the Rings Online, and is going to be kind of like handling rules queries and modding chat and all that good stuff. Hi, John. How are you?
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
I'd like to say, you say this is a record, but you didn't start the episode muted, so if anything...
Did I?
No, you didn't. That's the point.
Oh, I see what you mean,
you know,
and I have done that before, so yeah, then technically that's no time at all, because
Yeah.
it's already there. Yeah, sure, wonderful.
You're doing great.
Great. I'm doing fantastic, and moving on. John will be tinkering away in the background, and he will pop up if anything goes devastatingly wrong. So don't worry. Seeing John just means things have collapsed. So it's fine. It's all fine. Yeah. Thank you, John. So, as I say, we are Telling Tales. There are a bunch of links down below if you want to explore our various things. You're watching this on YouTube or on Twitch. Why not check out the other one? There's also links for our social media. There's links to our Discord where you can join up and talk to us about all things Telling Tales and all things role-playing as well. There's a link to our Patreon because you can go there and support us, as with everyone else on this nightmare vector of the internet. We have a Patreon, and yeah, you can get lovely rewards in exchange for support. We run 3 weekly role-playing series on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, all at 8 o'clock p.m. BST. Call Cthulhu is on Mondays, and Blades in the Dark is on Tuesdays. And Wednesdays, we've just restarted Simbaroom, which is basically our sort of flagship show. So why not go check that out? We also, it may not be a surprise to you, run one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. This is one of them. But we've run a bunch of others through the year. Alien, Troika, Morkborg, Fiasco, The Expanse, Honey Heist. That might be all of them that we've run this year. I can't remember if I've missed one off. But all the VODs for those are over on our YouTube, as are the VODs for everything we do. So if you want hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of role-playing content, then go check that out. We also are currently running a fortnightly Simbaroom series on the Free League Twitch. And that isn't on tomorrow, but the finale, it should be, will be on next weekend on Sunday afternoon. So much relentless promo. But it's done now, and we can crack on with our lovely One Ring One Shot. So for anyone who isn't aware about the kind of concept of this, there is a tabletop role-playing game called The One Ring. This is my copy of the original first edition of it in its lovely sleeve, complete with its absolutely baffling order and how it's written and how the rules are presented. But fortunately, there have been other editions since then. There was I think it was just basically a revised edition since then, which was also through Cubicle 7, right? Yes. But now it is under the purview of Free League, and that's what we'll be running tonight. There's an alpha edition that was sent out to Kickstarter backers, of which I am one, and that's what we will be running, this new edition. It's very similar in a lot of ways. It makes a couple of big, kind of chunky changes, which I think are for the better. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. And more so than that, we're going to be running a story that I've adapted from The Lord of the Rings Online, the classic MMO from, I want to say, 2007 or maybe 2008 or something like that, which I've been playing for a long, long time now, which I love. And this is basically something I've wanted to do for ages. And now I get to do it live in front of the internet. That isn't anxiety driving at all. So yeah, should be good. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, if anyone is asking questions or comments in chat. Obviously, because we're role-playing, we won't be able to address them too directly, although John should be able to respond. We've probably got a couple of other crew members in there who'll be able to respond. Maybe the players will a little bit as well. What I would say is, because we are running a story adapted from LOTRO, if there are LOTRO fans out there, please don't spoil things for the players, because they might be looking at chat. So please try and be a little bit circumspect in how you write about stuff like that, because they're going to be excited to hit the story beats that you hit the first time you played as well. And I think that's about it for all my rambling. So let's start one by one, bringing on our players, and they can talk to us a little bit about their characters. It suddenly occurred to me I didn't tell them what order I was bringing them on in. But without dropping a big list on them, it's the order in which they signed in this afternoon. So that fits quite well, doesn't it? So with that in mind, let's bring on Pierre first. Pierre, veteran of the channel. Pierre, hi Pierre. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well, Matt. And
Good.
Yourself?
Delightful, thank you. Marred only slightly by the quite not insignificant possibility that people will be hearing my cat vomit in the background at some point during the stream. But other than that, I'm decent. So you'll be playing Herb Rushlight, Man of Bree. Is that correct?
Yes, and I'm a simple sort of rustic fellow. I have a past. Doesn't everyone have a past? But I've given all that up, and I've settled down in my job as a bookbinder. And my son has sort of recently kind of gone out into the world, and I'm a bit worried about him. I haven't heard from him recently, so I'm not an overprotective parent, but I'm not an overprotective parent.
Sure. And you've got a troll past and nothing left to lose.
Yeah. So anyway, into the wilds I go, just to make sure that my boy is all right. Yeah.
And I'm sure nothing bad will happen to you walking the dark paths of Breeland by night, out, as you say, in the wild. So with that in mind, let's bring on our second player. Let's bring on Holly. And Holly is going to be playing Winky. I believe Winky also has a wonderful Hobbit second name as well.
Yes, yeah. Mrs. Periwinkle Bracegirdle is the full title, but that's a bit of a mouthful. So.
Sure. So tell us about Winky.
So Winky is a Hobbit botanist who, for many years, was a diligent farmer with her husband, Mr. Bracegirdle, who recently suffered an unfortunate cow-related incident in which she was crushed brutally, forcing her to kind of examine her ways of life and deciding that really now is the time to strike out and finish her book, the Bracegirdle's Guide to the Habitats and Flora West of the Misty Mountains. So that is her chosen task that she's going to be trying to accomplish.
Absolutely, and as obviously another person wandering the paths of the Shire and Breeland, and obviously taking all due care and examining lots of plants as you go. But again, I can't imagine anything bad happening to someone wandering around there. Side note, we've already done because we did a character creation video for this, which patrons can see at a certain tier. Did we, within that video, Holly, did we use the term Hobbotanist at any point?
No, we didn't, which was a mistake on our part.
Bad miss.
Yes, terrible.
Terrible miss.
Terrible.
So moving on from there, let's bring on our third player. Let's bring on Inga, who's going to be playing Ingrith, a barding, the kind of noble or semi-noble daughter of a powerful trading family in back in Lake Town. That's the idea, right?
That is correct, yeah. So Ingrith is on sort of rite of passage, sort of travels to, different lands, and it's kind of a rite of passage to sort of travel a bit and, make connections with other, trading ports or, merchants and things for her family. Very well connected kind of place. She's probably, I think, quite a bit younger than the rest of the party. She's quite it's her first sort of proper outing. She's about 18 or 19 kind of age, and definitely quite bright, starry-eyed, and boldly going out into the world for the first time. I'm very excited about that. So
absolutely, and excited about all the people to meet, all the things to see, and definitely not about any danger that might befall her in any way on the dark paths of Breeland late at night. I think it's safe to say. Probably doesn't even. I mean, who would think about that kind of thing?
Nothing I couldn't handle anyway.
Well, maybe our final player thinks about that kind of thing, because you know what? I think it's his character's job to worry about that kind of thing. Let's bring on Sam. Sam is playing Otho Mucklefoot, a hobbit bounder, which for anyone who doesn't know is kind of like a warden / they're sort of like hobbit rangers, right? They wander around and try and keep the peace and keep the bounds of the Shire safe.
I imagine they wander a little less distant with the shorter legs and everything, but yeah, they definitely wander the boundaries of the Shire. So Otho, he's kind of a middle-aged hobbit now. He's kind of seen some probably fairly dark things for a hobbit, and there's a bit kind of more wary of the darker places of the world and aware of these things. He's when he was a younger man, he was a happy-go-lucky sort of chap growing up in Tuckborough, but there was some terrible tragedy there that will not be spoken of, and he found himself kind of not really sure what to do with himself, and a bit not quite outcast, but certainly looking for a new place in the world, and feeling like he had to protect others from darker things. So now he's kind of trained himself to wield weapons and a shield and be kind of capable sort of man in a fight. And he's been guarding the I can't remember the name, but the hedge at the end at the eastern side of the Shire.
The High Hay.
Thank you, the High Hay for maybe at least a few years now, being one of the bounders there, maybe a decade or so. But much to his kind of dismay, recently he was hired by Winky's family to provide effectively a personal guard / dog's body to help out with this pointless survey of plants.
Go pick up that weed, etc.
Exactly. Yes. Well, I really should be doing more important things like protecting civilized society, but whatever. They need someone to do it, and I guess I ended up having to do it.
Absolutely, that sounds good. Maybe you're the only one who does expect it, but I think you think, with the two of you and both of you are armed, nothing bad could possibly happen on the roads of Breeland, especially not late at night, and especially not to 4 people in any one particular location late at night. Right. Okay. With that in mind, and one last word on this, folks. If you've got any rules comment, if we get anything wrong, then please do post it in the comments. But also have patience and forbearance with us, because we're going full tilt. This is the first time we've run this edition, so just limit your expectations, because we're gonna underperform horribly to whatever you think we're going to do. Just adjust those thoughts.
I expect
all right.
perfection.
As always, I will fail to live up to that for you, Pierre. Okay, how are we going to start? We're going to start in a darkened room, barely lit by some torches flickering outside in a battered looking stone corridor. It looks something like maybe a farmhouse that's been repurposed and has seen much better days than it has now. There's water dripping down from the ceiling. There is unpleasant whitish looking fungus growing on various bricks, and between 3 of you and the hall outside, there are iron bars, and with a door in the center of them, the bars swing open, not like an actual full door. 3 of you are in there, and the 3 of you who are in there are Otho, Winky, and let's say Herb. Shall we? You are in this room because while traveling through the Chetwood, which is a patch of forest quite near Bree on its far outskirts, near where the various other towns and villages are dotted, you were set upon in the middle of the night by foul men of unknown origin and bearing, and they quite quickly dealt with you en masse, dragged you here and threw you in this cell. For what reason, you have no idea. You have barely had time to even interact with each other. In fact, I'd say perhaps one of you even, and I'll just roll a dice for this, one of you, Winky, is in fact unconscious. Perhaps you fought back a little too hard with typical Hobbit stubbornness against one of the captors and was wrapped firmly on the back of the head. And as you're kind of like you're all kind of coming to, or kind of like becoming more aware of your surroundings after such a traumatic situation, you're aware that two more of these men dressed in kind of slightly ragged, ill-fitting clothes, that clearly not caring very much about their personal hygiene or odor in any way, are dragging through another individual, what looks like another man, towards the cell, and kind of like unlock it, open it, throw the individual down on the ground, and then lock it behind and sort of jeer at you wordlessly, looking amused, particularly at the plights of the hobbits in there, before they walk away. The man who's just been thrown to the ground, Pierre, could you describe the physical appearance of Herb Rushlight to us, please?
Yeah, I'm sort of kind of short, kind of got a little kind of curly red hair. I'm kind of, well, it's kind of graying a little bit because I'm actually getting on in, I mean, 42, just ancient. And but I dress, I've got just like kind of like not perfectly fitting clothes. These are like the things that I used to wear when I was a young fit man, that I've now just like repurposed, and kind of they're hastily stitched together, and you know, trying to keep everything going. I'm a bit stocky, and I sort of, you know, tumble to the floor, and I guess I sort of look up and see presumably Otho and Winky on the other side of the cell. Is this...
Yeah, I think Winky is probably lying on a pallet to one side, still kind of like dazed and unconscious. But Otho and Ingrid will certainly be there. And I won't leap into sort of everyone doing a description of their character, because that sits us here for 5 minutes while we do it. Let's do it one by one. But why don't we just go ahead with your interactions. Winky, you can kind of start to come to if we want. And while we do that, John has a lovely screenshot from LOTRO to bring up. There you are. Oh. Although the door's closed.
It's much worse than I was imagining.
Mm-hmm. So Otho is immediately like checking over Winky if he saw her get hit, and now she's kind of bleary, so he's kind of crouched over her in the corner. Maybe moved.
Oh, I think you've been here a while.
Okay,
but still being checking it is fine. I just want to make
generally
sure.
Keeping an eye on her. Then I'm trying to help her wake up comfortably. Do we have any of our stuff, or was it all taken off of us?
All of your possessions and weapons have been taken off you. Mm-hmm. And in addition, you know what? Why not? Let's. Can everyone roll 2d6 and remove that much endurance, please?
Not too bad. Only 4 down.
9.
Oof. 9 for me.
It's only a 3 for me. Not bad.
You're faking it.
We obviously put up the bigger fight.
Yeah.
I've got. I must get out of here. Oh God.
I think Otho's looking a bit suspicious at the two like humans in here, just like not trusting any of you now. Maybe you're.
They threw us in here as well.
Do you think we're caught up in your mess? How do I know? What do you do to get in here, eh? People don't just throw people in prison for no reason. Good folk like us.
I will not have you talk down to me. I'm a rushlight. We are honorable people. I'm just looking for my son. What are you here for?
Look, everybody calm down a little here. If nobody gets thrown in for good reason, then you're here for bad reason too. So either we're all bad or we're all good, all right? So let's calm down a little bit here. There's got to be a way out.
Listen to this person.
Did any of you recognize those horrible people who threw us in here?
I'm not from around these parts. Nobody
Why are you
I've
here?
seen like that before. Oh no.
Outsiders. Is your friend all right?
I kind of look at you, Winky, but
Yeah, I'm gonna like steadily come to, and then as I realise what's gone on, I'm gonna like start looking around frantically for my sample bag and like notebook. Realizing that they're not around, I'm gonna kind of start trying to peer out of the cell to see if I can see where all of our stuff has been put.
noticing Winky do this, given that I presumably didn't put up a fight because I knew there was no point, could I have tried to see where all our stuff was taken? Did they kind of take it away?
Well, you know what? I think you were too busy having it yanked off you and being thrown in the cell to notice it at the time. And I'd let you roll, but Holly got there first. So let's have Holly take the first roll of the game. Why don't you give me, I think that will be, I think it could be, I think in the, this isn't a roll in the moment, is it? So I think scan would be probably the most appropriate thing for you to roll, if that's all right.
I've got 1 point in that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give a -2. Oh no, I can add dice, can't I? Okay. I'm gonna give you an extra die because I don't think it's a massively difficult thing to look for. So for anyone who isn't aware, One Ring works on a system of every roll you make, you roll 1d12, which is the feat die, which you always roll, and then a number of d6 based on the number of pips in a skill that you have. And in this edition, what you're rolling against is a target number set by one of 3 attributes you have: strength, heart, and wits. And for Winky, that target number is 14, which is pretty good, actually. It's one of the better target numbers you can start with. So what Holly will now do is roll a feat die, and you have 1 for the scan and 1 extra that I've given you because I just modified it.
And I just fail with a total of 13.
Well, before you do that, and I won't be offering this retcon to everyone, but I would say, we could demonstrate another mechanic here. You have the distinctive feature of keen-eyed.
I do indeed.
If you wanted, and normally what we would do this before the roll, you have a pool called Hope that you can spend in order to get extra dice on rolls. And if what you're doing matches your distinctive feature, you become inspired, which means you get an extra 2 dice instead of 1 dice for a point of hope. Do you want to retroactively take that and roll an extra 2 dice and add it in?
I would like to do that.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I am a generous god.
Oh, so generous.
And humble.
Which definitely boosts me up because I got a 6 and a 1 on the 2 extra dice. So
there's a real difference, I think, numerically for most of the target numbers between having 2 and 3 pips in something. It's very big.
Yeah.
So that takes you over your target number of 14, I would imagine.
Yeah.
As you kind of scan that corridor outside, and down at the end you see there is like a table across under an old kind of sort of mud smeared and fairly unusable window. There's a table under which some weapons have been stuffed and atop of which a load of packs have been thrown. You don't know about the others, but your stuff all looks to be there.
Okay, so I'll just start whispering over it. Those brigands! They have thieved my book and samples. It's over there. Look. And I'm going to start trying to like squeeze my way through the bars, which I'm sure that I can't do. But
seeing that, I'll sort of go over to Winky and be like, "You should look. You've taken a big. It looks like you've taken a big hit. You should probably be a little bit just calm down." And I'll try and like discourage you from like forcing your way through these bars.
If you're like trying to like actually like touch her or go too close to her, I'll kind of move myself in the way.
Okay.
I'll keep trying for like 10 seconds or something, and then realize it's just not going to happen, and then just start pacing around the cell.
Mm-hmm.
You're muted, Matt.
31 minutes live before that happened. There we go. That might also be a record. As you do that, and I'm going to say kind of as you're on the edge of giving up, you do hear something. You hear something from where ahead the corridor kind of turns to the left, and you hear a voice back there saying, "Oi, what are you doing? You're not..."
If the second I hear that, I kind of grab Winky and try and move us to the side in the shadows.
Sure. Does anyone else have any particular reaction to that?
I think that Ingrid will go right up to the bars and like try and peer through, see if she can see anything about what's going on with that.
Well then, Ingrid, you are probably the first person to see it has to be said, rather well dexterously moving and stealthy individual round the corner onto the corridor you are on. He is wearing a kind of a long, dark cloak with hood drawn up and underneath kind of like traveling leathers, very spattered in mud. And notably, at his in one hand, he's holding a sword of very high quality make. A barding like you will recognize quality crafting, and yes, a very well smithed sword, kind of at odds with his general disheveled appearance.
So a thief then?
Perhaps so. Certainly not someone to be trusted in any way. He kind of pauses at the end of the corridor and kind of looks back over his shoulder, and then takes a few steps forward towards the bars, and in a kind of hushed but quite urgent voice says, "Hurry, we must hasten if you are to escape." And starts moving towards the door to the cell.
Yes, let us out. Quick, everybody, this is our chance.
I'll just say to Winky, "Stay behind me," and then rush to the door.
I thought you were going to kill him. That's
Not that mistrusting, jeez.
He's kind of like leant against the door and is kind of he's leant his sword up against one of the bars, has drawn a knife and has jammed it into the lock and is sort of twisting it hard. And this seems to be a thing he has definitely done before.
Ingrid isn't even looking at that. She's distracted at the sword, just like eyeing it a little bit more up close and just gasping impressively.
Thank you, sir. What can I do to repay you? I don't think I have. I have a little bit of honey mead on me. If you just would accept this gift as a token of my appreciation for letting me out.
Interrupt you partway through and just go, "Do you know these people over here?"
With a hard grunt, he his elbow kicks out hard, and the lock more or less kind of bursts out of the door. It wasn't a particularly well-made one anyway, you don't think, but still quite impressive feat. And he swings it open with a creak and says, "There's no need for thanks. Quick, get your weapons. You'll need them."
Yeah, I bustle past everyone to go up to the table.
Literally go, "Winky!" at that second to do. Catch up with you, just like, "What did I just say?" And then grab my axe and shield and things as well.
I follow, but I go, "Thank you, kind stranger, but what did we do to deserve this?"
You were people in need and I was here.
Well, I tip my hat. I don't have a hat. I'm just
just warlock tugging. Yeah. As you're gathering, all your possessions and all your weapons are there. And as you're doing, these people, in common with every video game ever, do not attempt to secure any of anyone's possessions away when they lock them in the cell. And as you're doing so, the man says, "I'm afraid you are in more trouble than you may be aware. You have to make haste. More enemies will come soon."
All right, let's follow. I mean, things are already looking better, aren't they? Come on, then.
Do you know who these people are?
They call themselves Black Wolves.
Why did they take us?
bandits. At least they were. Now, something worse.
Bandits? I never heard of such a thing.
He's kind of gone that corridor to the left that you couldn't see down, that kind of angled away, which you were carried down it, but half aware as you were, not
struggling.
He's walked down to the end there, and there is like a door at the end that seems to open out into some kind of courtyard, and he's just kind of leaning there, kind of like looking out into the courtyard. It's definitely still nighttime, like you haven't been knocked senseless for hours and hours, and you can see kind of very little light outside, just kind of flickering soft light from presumably some torches or maybe like fires that have been set out there.
While we're passing by kind of the rooms and stuff as well, quick, like just a glance to see, has he just like killed a load of them? Are there a load of bodies around, or
there is a body of a one of these black wolves in the corridor? Yes, yeah, which I probably should have mentioned, but
okay,
you did, so it's fine.
I'll give him a really quick look over the body as well. Does it look like a normal human? Is there anything strange about them?
No, there doesn't seem to be anything strange. They look like they've been living in desperate straits for some time. They're not well armed. They're not, well clothed. But yeah, and they are very dead, and they have kind of presumably a sword. What is a sword wound in their chest?
Okay, I'll move on
then. So is everyone kind of joining this figure at the doorway?
Oh yeah. He probably has to stop Ingrid from just barging right on past him, and he's just very enthusiastically on mission now.
I sort of follow Ingrid, and I sort of say, "I really like your attitude. Pleased to meet you. My name's Herb Brushlight."
Oh, Ingrid.
And now that we're doing an introduction, Ingrid, why don't you give Inga? Why don't you give a description of Ingrid?
So she's reasonably tall. Definitely looks a bit like harder and stronger than just your average sort of teenager, I guess. Definitely has trained and kind of strawberry blonde hair that's in very kind of tight, a single tight braid that's kind of quite long and kind of flipped around to the front. Otherwise like reasonably sort of like not full on tan, but not super pale. Definitely spent some time outdoors training things. But yeah,
lovely. So as you're looking out over this courtyard, the stranger turns to you all and says, "I am very sorry, we do not have time for formal introductions, but my name is Amdir. I am a ranger of the north, and foul things are afoot. I must go out here into this small fort and search for signs. There are connections here I must learn more about, but there are also others that need rescuing. And now I have done that for you. I hope you will pass that on."
well, of course we've got to get people out of here. What on earth are they doing? Where are they?
Right. If you go out into this courtyard, turn yourself to the right. You will find an enclosed area. More bars. In a cage there is a hobbit. Free her, and she will tell you where the other one is kept. Once this is done, find your way to the gate. I will meet you there.
in that direction.
Thank you, Ranger.
Already off.
I will turn to...
He nods and just slips out of the door, and like even though you see him go, if you like look out through the doorway a moment later, like he seems gone, blended into the shadows and away.
I will kind of try and grab at Ingrid as she's going. Just be like, Ingrid, was it? Shh, silent. There might be many more of them. We don't want to attract more attention than we need.
All right, things now. Now's our chance.
Let's go. Keep together and keep quiet, though.
Okay, so I take it we're exiting out into that courtyard. John has a picture of that. There we go. Available for you. And as you emerge out into that, as you can see, it's quite an unpleasant, overcast evening with a lot of trees scattered around the walls of the enclosure. And as you can also see, there is another body of a Blackwold laying prone near the door to the jail, presumably more of Amdir's work. So, as you make your way forwards and you kind of round the corner out into... didn't mean to do that. Out into kind of another sort of slightly larger courtyard area that looks much like the other, only there is... behind a gate, another one of those kind of iron-barred gates, there is what seems to be a small campfire that has a couple of the Blackwolves sat around it. And behind them, there is a set of cages, kind of dog cages, like you might, transport a dog in the back of a wagon or another kind of medium-sized animal. But in one of them is a rather glum-looking hobbit. She does not look happy to be there. And she is eyeing the Blackwolds with a certain amount of defiance. One of them mutters something to her, and you hear quite loudly and boldly say, "You don't scare me."
Oh God, terrible fate.
Are they? So they're both facing her, basically, so they could see her directly.
Yeah, they don't seem aware of you currently.
Mm-hmm. Looks like there's no way to sneak around to get her out. We deal with these two. I look at whoever's next to me, I suppose. Probably Ingrid if you're at the front.
All right. I will. Well, I was gonna say I'll hand on sword. In terms of like the other, like the armor and stuff that I had, presumably I won't have had time to put it on through rushing around, carrying it around.
I mean, it's a male coat, right? So it's not too onerous to put on. I'm fine with you having had it on already or kind of putting it on during this brief lull in activity. I'm fine with that happening.
Depends how your endurance is, though, because with the reduced endurance, that's a bit tight at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
The helm might not be on. Just
sure. Yeah, I'm happy for people to be armored and or not armored to whatever degree they wish as they engage in this. So what are we doing? You've got a gate between you and them, but it doesn't look locked. It looks like it can just be opened.
Is there any way we can seem to draw them away from their current post?
There looks to be kind of another gate further on from them, but back where I guess it depends. I can't imagine a way you could push them towards there, but any other direction they go away from the cages and the hobbit inside them is effectively towards you.
Us. Yeah, so they're unlikely to be.
Is there any sign of any others? Are these do they seem to be the only two?
They seem to be the only two in this immediate area. Yeah.
Othar goes, wait, we could draw them up here with a sound and perhaps catch them from the shadows.
Can I fumble around the ground for a small rock or something?
Sure. Yeah. I would also remind. I think at least two of you do have bows.
Yep. I do not, but
I do. I just don't want to waste my arrows.
I do, but Ingrid was about to go charging in as the thing to draw them away. But I think talking about the rocks, which you'll hold off briefly.
I will look at Winky, I guess, and whisper, "What are you planning?
I'm just going to hold up a rock and then just motion as if I'm just going to chuck it in our direction to distract them briefly."
Are we enough in the shadows that if they turn to look towards us, they wouldn't see us, or if they turn to look towards us, we'd just be very.
If they turn to look towards you right now, they definitely see you. Yeah, there are four of you. You're not standing that far away from them, maybe 30 feet or so.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely see you. I should add before. By all means, as always, come up with an elaborate plan in order to engage them. I would say these two ruffians do not look particularly formidable.
Almost
as if someone has placed them there as a way to teach you the combat rules.
I will,
Yeah.
given they don't look formidable, I will just nod at Winky about the stone. Just say, Winky,
Yeah.
get your bow.
Okay. I'll look to the other two, and then I'll just chuck the stone as hard as I can to like the back corner, in an attempt to make a noise to distract them.
Like to distract them a bit longer while you can. Like,
While we get closer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go
Well,
first between them and. have my
sure,
sword.
absolutely. I don't think you need to roll to like throw that stone. You know, it's no one would have to roll really to throw the stone. Throw a stone. Yeah. So yeah, you do so, and you know what though? Let's. I think. Would it be appropriate to see how well you throw it to, like, distract them in an appropriate manner? I think it might be. I think it might be, you know. And you know what? I'm going to be a bit of a dick and ask you to roll battle, because I know you don't have battle, and battle's more about kind of strategy and how. So it's the idea of you're throwing it in the right place to know like where they'll turn and like where's the best thing. But as with all rolls in this game, it's always worth making, because that D12 we talked about, the feat die, it replaces the 11 with an Eye of Sauron, which basically means 0, and 12 with a Gandalf rune, a G rune there, which is always an automatic success. So every roll you have at least a 1/12, you know, chance of succeeding. So yeah,
is there a way that I can help? You
can do your supporting. So like. As if you're spending hope on your own roll, you can spend a hope to aid Winky. You don't have to have battle, but you have to be using a skill. But it doesn't have to be battle. You can do it with, like, you know, persuading or whatever you think.
Does it provide better assistance if it's something? I mean, I'm sort of thinking about either insight or battle.
It provides exactly the same as just spending a hope. Yourself, so it just adds an extra die to Holly's roll.
Sure, and if it's okay, I think because I'm both insightful and I know about battle, then I'll suggest that they should just there. That's a good spot.
Sure, John. Quick question for you here, because it's not on our cheat sheet. If someone supports. In a way in which it applies their distinctive features, does that support provide 2 dice in the same way as it would if someone was spending their own hope? Can you have a look and see with that? And in the meantime, let's have Holly roll just that. The feat die with 1 dice. And because it's battle, it'll be against your heart. So you target them as 14, which is pretty decent. Again, like even with 1 die, you've got a chance of doing this, you know?
No. I got an 11, so yeah. Not quite. But...
Well, let's find out if we can find out from John. John doesn't think so, but we'll check. But we'll, you know what? It will have an impact on what happens next. So let's just have a quick look here in the rules.
I don't know if it. Like, I have true-hearted and rustic, and I don't know if either of those really apply.
Oh, okay. Sorry, when you said insightful and like the battle thing, I thought those might be your distinctive features. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So no, that doesn't go particularly well. You throw your stone, and it goes where you want it to go, and it hits kind of that opposite. It's got like a sort of palisade wall that it hits on it. But it makes a sound that's just very obviously a rock hitting something, you know, that someone presumably has thrown. And immediately the 2 Blackwolves, you know, like one of them glances over towards the sound of the rock, but the other one just kind of immediately goes, someone has thrown a rock, and looks over directly at your group and sees you standing there.
That's right. At least one of them looks.
Absolutely, that's a result. Now, you still get, like, at the beginning of every conflict, or most conflicts, you still get, everyone gets a chance for a volley before battle is engaged. So whether that's with bows, or if you have like spears you can throw, stuff like that, then people can do that. So what we will do first as the battle is started is we will... Oh, no, opening volley is first, which is weird because that means that we don't decide who goes first. But I guess we can just go in order. I'm assuming the two people with bows are firing arrows. Is anyone like Herb or Otho, like, have you got spears to throw or anything like that?
I will throw my spear, yeah.
I want to keep my spear around.
Because you're like mainly a spear fighter, right? So yeah, makes sense.
I did say I'd drawn my sword and I'd got up a little bit closer, so I think I probably wouldn't have my bow out.
Okay, that's fair enough and very honourable of you to say so. So why don't we start with Otho's spear throw then? I think, and it's just so what is your spear proficiency is just 1, right?
Yeah.
And your target number is 17, which is pretty high. Sorry?
Yeah. I think I need a 12 basically to get that done.
Yeah, it's sort of getting that way. In terms of the actual foes as well, no, they don't have any parry, so that's not a concern for you.
Turns out it's quite difficult to get a low strength target number hobbit.
It is. I mean, they're not particularly meant to be amazing in combat, so that does kind of make sense.
Oh, I rolled an 11, not a 12.
Oh, wonderful.
That's not a pass.
I was going to say, did you want to spend hope or anything before you did? But yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, your spear flies past one of the black wolves who sort of takes a step backwards with a kind of whoa kind of noise. It just misses him and slams into the palisade opposite. Winky, why don't you give a bow roll? So you got 2 in bow, which is a lot better, but your target number is 18, which is...
Yeah, Winky is not good.
Yeah. Do you want to spend hope on that?
Sure, why not? Why not? Yes, I will. So that will give me 3 dice and defeat dice. However, no. No, I only get a 15 on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I did get a 6 though, which was
that would
the
have been
second
good if you
one
hit.
I've rolled above a 3 so far. So yeah.
That is unfortunate. Your arrow goes wild as well. Fortunately, they don't have anything like arrows. So that's fine. So the next thing we do in our combat is we decide our essentially our stances. And there are 3 close combat stances: forward, open, and defensive. And as you go through those, it becomes harder for you to hit an opponent, but also harder for you to be hit. So forward, you're out there, you're attacking furiously, and obviously probably taking damage in return. Open is balanced, and defensive is the opposite. You're tanking essentially. There's also a rearward stance, which is mainly used for ranged combat and kind of various other things. And you're required to have 2 people in non-rearward stance to have 1 person in rearward stance. Now, I don't want to speak for people, but I'm going to straight up assume that Winky is remaining rearward. But the others of you, why don't we go through, and let's just go through in kind of left to right order here. So Pierre, what stance are you taking?
I'm going to be open.
Okay.
A balance.
How about Sam?
I think Otho is pissed off that there's a hobbit in a cage and we all got imprisoned, and he was already in mid-charge when he threw the spear, so he's in forward.
Sure.
And
How about Ingrid?
Similar thing. She was ready to charge forward.
Fair enough then. In that case, let's go through. I don't think it has really too strict initiative things but I quite like to go with essentially sort of forward first. That seems to me to make the most sense. But
most keen to hit things.
Exactly. Oh, it does say forward back. What? Forward back ties broken by battle skill. What does forward back mean, John? Does it mean mistyped? Starts as forward, then moves
moves
backward.
I see.
Okay,
I see.
yeah, sure. Yeah. Ties broken by battle skill, yeah, as it says. But first we do our engagement, and there's 3 of you charging forward, and there's 2 of them. So I'd say you get to choose. So who is taking a Blackwold alone? I guess out of the 3 of you, and I'm happy for you guys just to choose.
I think Ingrith will arrive first because I threw a spear. Even though I would assume Ingrith will go for one, I would go for the other one, and then
Herb gets to choose who to help.
Herb gets to choose.
Sure. So Pierre, who you helping out, Otho or Ingrith?
Ingrith, because she seemed the most peppy, and
didn't immediately assumed that you were working with the brigands. Yeah,
seems to have the most vim.
Just didn't trust you anyway.
Absolutely. So in that case, we're in. So it's the people in forward going first. Otho and Ingrith, what are your battle scores?
I've got a 2 on my battle.
I think I'm a 0. Yeah.
Okay. Then Ingrith is first. So I'm not sure we need initiative up for this, John, but you can whack it up there anyway if you're into it. So it'll be Ingrith, Otho, Herb, Winky, and then the Blackwolves. Correct? Because people in One Ring, correct me if I'm wrong, folks out there, and John go in like allegiances together, if you see what I mean. Like all the heroes go and then all the enemies go, or vice versa, depending on who's attacking and defending. I think. Yes, John says I'm correct. The best kind of correct. John correct. So Ingrith, what I'm going to need from you then is if you give me, you have your sword drawn, I believe you said.
I do. Yeah.
And you have 2 in swords. So why don't you give me a roll? And this will be your feat die, 2 dice for swords, 1 extra die for being in forward. And your target number is just going to be your flat target number, so 15. Unless you're spending hope. But
I got a 12 on my feat die.
Hey, well that's great. That's an immediate
on the others, but
nice.
12 on feat die is exciting.
So sorry, did you say you got any? Did you get any 6s? Anything with a Tenguar symbol? No,
1, 3, and 5 on the others.
No problem. But I mean, it sounds like you would have, like you did it numerically, and you did it because you got a Gandalf rune. So yeah, that's good. So what happens here is that you well, for a start, that's a potential piercing blow. Because you roll, it's when you roll a 10 or a Gandalf that you get a piercing blow, right? I believe. John is probably right now. Yes, it is. So in that case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to immediately, your sword does 4 damage, right? So I'm going to knock the Blackwold's endurance down from where they are with the blow you've taken. But before I narrate things and we move on, we need to sort the piercing blow that you've just dealt them. So what I do is and this is how we defend from piercing blows, whether you're a character or an NPC, I'm going to take the Blackwolves armor dice, which is a 2, like 2d6, and also a feat die, and I'm going to roll against the injury level of your sword. Does anyone know what the injury level of a sword is off the top of their head? Because it's not on the sheet I've got here. Let's have a look in equipment.
I think it's 16.
That sounds about right. Correct, 16, John says. So I will roll against that. That is, so definitely not. They rolled an Eye of Sauron, and I don't think it flips round for my rolls and yours. Did you see anything like that in the rulebook, John? I have a feel the old editions did, but this one doesn't. No, it doesn't, just because that gets confusing. So that's essentially a 0 for them. So what's happened is normally you can kind of batter people down with their endurance until they either give up or collapse or whatever. But what you've done is struck a piercing blow. And because they failed to defend against it, you've scored a wound on them. Because this is a fairly low-level enemy, that kind of means game over. So what's just happened is you've charged in. Do you have any kind of shouting any war cry of the Bardings or anything like that? Or are you trying to keep it relatively quiet?
No war cries of the Bardings, but maybe get away from her.
Sure, absolutely. Your sword comes down in a glittering arc and carves into the black wold, and you feel them kind of shudder on the end of your blade and drop off onto the ground. They will not be preying on any travelers in the middle of the night anymore. So our next is Otho. Otho, you have your... is it an axe? You have an axe, right? That's what you fight with.
Yep.
Yeah, and you've got 3 in that, which is pretty strong.
Still
That should help.
Probably to make my 17 target number easy.
Not easily, but it's certainly possible. Are you spending any hope on it or anything?
I think I will, yeah.
Yeah, going to spend a hope. You know what? I'd say that your distinctive feature of Inga, for this charging in for this first round, I think that's a solid thing. So you can take an extra 2 dice on that.
Extra 2 dice. Cool. So how much do you take for that? So that's just 2 in total, or 2 for the hope?
So you will have your feat die, 3 dice for your axe, and for your axe combat proficiency, and an extra 2 dice for the inspired hope.
Thank you. Got it. Okay, I see. It'll be 1 or 2. Okay, it's a lot of dice. Not very high rolls though. 18. I just made it.
There we go. And you didn't roll. Did you roll? What did you roll on your feat dice?
No Gandalf and no 6s.
Oh, okay. Well. But did you roll a 10? Because 10 is also a crit, like a piercing blow.
No, I rolled a 4 on that one.
Okay. That's not then. So your axe does 5 damage, I believe, which is pretty nice. Yeah, you kind of swing your axe out, and the Blackwold manages to dodge it from actually hitting him with the great swing you give it. But maybe it's because the angle you're swinging at is not one he's used to fighting. He sort of doubles over backwards, and his ankles give way, and he's kind of scrabbling desperately along the ground, kind of reaching down and kind of cradling an ankle as he's desperately swinging a blade at you with the other hand. So he's in a rather desperate position.
The instant Otho swung, he's like silently does it, and he just kind of like crouches down a bit and lifts his shield up immediately as the guy swings back, like preparing for the counter strike attempt.
Sure. How very forward of you.
Very practiced.
Sure. Herb.
So is it possible, like, I think that given I'd quite like to sort of attack this guy, but maybe not in the most lethal way. I think I'm going to try and say, like, there's 4 of us and 1 of you. Like,
you can try and talk him down. Yeah, you can, instead of taking an attack, you can try and talk him down. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I'm just going to use my spear more as like a, not as a stabbing thing, just as like a, I'm going to try and put this to your throat or whatever, intimidate.
Well, I think that's going to be an awe roll. So why don't you give me that against your target number there? And I would say you can gain an extra die on that, because I think this guy's in a bad way.
Well, it's good because I'm rolling 1 die. So that is a fail. That has an Eye of Sauron and a 3. So
sure.
My voice cracks. I'm like,
you do the same thing. You do the same thing. It's just clearly he's not intimidated by it. You hold the spear out, and he kind of he looks back for a moment, and then whips his sword over to kind of knock the spear away, and just kind of cries out, not loud enough probably to alert other people. He's not trying to draw people, but he just goes, "Black Walls!" Sort of, some kind of war cry on that. Winky, sounds to me like this guy's getting an arrow in him.
Well, hopefully, yes.
Hopefully.
Okay. We'll so I get 2 for my proficiency in bows and a feat dice.
Yeah. You know what? Take an extra die. I described, it's not in the mechanics, but I described him falling over, and I think it makes him an easy target. You know what I mean? So
cool.
Go ahead and take an extra die
there. However, because Winky is not particularly skilled at combat, that does not succeed. So that's a 16 versus my target number of 18. So very close though.
Close, but no arrow in the throat.
No.
So an arrow kind of like sort of goes kind of point over haft behind him and just like rolls into the dirt, and he kind of looks around it. He's the same one who dodged the spear throw, so clearly perhaps he thinks he's, you know, somehow blessed or fortuitous in some way, and he kind of looks over with that sword and kind of like starts to scrape back to his feet, going ha! And is going to try and strike at, I think, Otho. I think it would be weird if it wasn't Otho. So let's go with his attack. I'm so used to playing Simbroom now that the thought of me rolling to make NPC attacks is like, what is this peasant stuff? So in his target number is going to be your parry. Your parry should be listed below your wits, but also it's adjusted by your shield. So I don't know whether I don't know how you've sorted that.
So I think it looks like mine has been modified automatically.
It may well have been, yeah, because like I don't think you'd have 17 just from scratch, right? Yeah, because it's the +3 for the shield.
Plus
That's
3
why
for the shield. Yeah.
I should have said in all this, by the way, did everyone make sure to see whether they were weary or not when they made their rolls? I.e., if their endurance was equal to or below their load, or their load other way around. Their load was equal to or below their endurance.
No, my
it's
endurance.
fine. It's fine if you didn't. Just remember to do it going forward, because that can make a significant impact on your rolls. But it's fine. I forgot to ask as well.
I'm in the forward pose as well. Does that mean I'm worse for defense, or?
It does mean you're worse at defense, so he's going to get an extra die to hit you.
Cool.
Yeah. And the target, did you say it was 17?
Yeah.
Okay. God, I've got to add numbers up like some kind of chump. He does indeed hit you.
I like that Otho kind of did put up the shield, but was flailing so aggressively with the first swing that he's kind of like off balance.
Yeah, or maybe you just felt that the guy was about to either give up or get arrowed, and let your guard down a little bit. Regardless, he has like it is a sword, but it's so blunt, it's honestly more like a cudgel, and he sort of flails it at you, and it just clunks you across the side of the head. It doesn't cut into you, but it just like, that's going to leave a little bit of a bruise. So just take 2 toughness. It's not too bad at all. Now, we could go into the next combat round, but I feel like we've got this guy here. He doesn't seem about to give up. Are we going to try to kind of like I'm perfectly happy with you just offing this guy if you feel that that's what you do at this point.
Ingrid wasn't pulling punches.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, Herb.
Is anyone pulling punches? Would anyone not kind of try and finish him off?
I mean, Otho is now weary, so he might be kind of step back a moment.
Sure.
While taking off his helmet or something.
How about Herb?
I think, given I failed to convince him, I'd actually go for it.
You go for it. Well, let's see, and I'll just roll for this at random. Okay, yeah. Ingrid, you take a couple of steps forward, but Herb is there already, and Herb with a certain sense of reluctance. Is it fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a spear, right? Just as he's come forward and like flailing at the hobbit, you just thrust your spear forward through his throat. He's gone.
A foolish waste. And then I sort of turn my attention to the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Does the lock look any good, or is it just crap like ours?
It isn't even a lock. It's a length of rope tied round the door that is holding it together.
Okay.
Otho, immediately upon having taken his helmet off, then will just be like, "Are you okay?" to her in the cage.
Yes, thank you. I was starting to worry that this little misadventure would be the end of me. These brigands are appalling folk.
We ran into Amdir. He said to free you, and that there was another who needed rescuing. And I'll slice the rope with my sword if I can.
You absolutely can. I don't know who this Amdir is, but yes, I have a friend, Mundo. He's nearby, I think. We must save him as well. The brigands have been saying such terrible things.
where did they find you? And then go in that direction, I suppose, that she's pointing us to.
And where is
yeah,
Mum?
she's kind of pointing off to the right. Essentially, there's basically only kind of one way really round here, and she's kind of pointing off in that direction.
Come on then, onwards. I'll start
Um,
going off again.
She stands up and kind of sort of takes off and kind of runs ahead of the four of you, and kind of when she reaches another one of those iron barred walls with a gate in it, she just kind of reaches it and like hugs up against the bars and peeks round and just turns around and says, "There's 3 more of them in there."
Oh, so I did remember to pick up a spear, by the way.
Sure, yeah. What I usually do as well, Holly, for people with bows, games rarely have a concept of reusing arrows, but arrows also, like, they don't always break on use. And literally what I usually do is just say there's a 50-50 chance of recovery. So if you want to roll for every arrow you did and just, 4 to 6, you get to recover that.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do we see if we're pressed against the gate then ourselves?
If you press up against, you can see another yard beyond the gate where the holding pen of the other hobbit is. And I don't think I introduced her vocally, but she will have introduced herself shortly after being released as Celandine Brandybuck. And through the yard, you see another hobbit, and he is tied up to a stake in the next yard along, being taunted by a group of 3 black wolves. One of them kind of seems a bit more in charge than the others, and is kind of taunting him. And as you kind of peer around, you can hear him cry kind of quite loudly, "Don't you move one curled hair, hobbit!" And the others are sort of, jeering and generally being unpleasant about things. Yes, like that.
How like reasonable does it seem that we could sneak up on these people, or is it extremely like, is there no cover? Or
That's what I was thinking too.
There is no cover, but their attention is distracted, and perhaps you could do so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the plan I would suggest is I think we should try and get the element of surprise on them. Let's go quiet, like.
Good plan.
Celandine kind of turns around and says, I have no weapon, I am no fighter, but I think I can help with a distraction. I have an idea."
What do you think?
Shall I do it?
Yeah. What is it?
You.
She is kind of dashing over to the corner of the yard you're in, which seems to have like a hobbit-sized backpack in it, presumably hers. She's rummaging around inside it, and she turns around, and in her hands is a tinderbox.
Well, while she's doing this, can I try and get into a better position to kind of maybe charge at them without being currently standing in the middle of nowhere so they see me?
Sure, so you can charge without...
as soon as they're distracted.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to take a stealth roll for that, but yes,
Yep,
absolutely.
That's fine. That's the sort of roll I was thinking I can do. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't you go ahead and do that then? And, hey, your stealth's pretty good, and your target number for it's pretty good as well.
While
Same as well.
Yeah.
While I'm doing that,
anyone who wants to kind of sneak forward and do that can do so. And anyone who doesn't want to doesn't have to. Yeah, so just go ahead and give me those rolls. I'm going to say it's flat because while it's quite dark here, it's also quite open, so there's no cover. So I'd say that probably averages out at kind of no modifiers. So anyone who wants to sneak forward, just go ahead and make your stealth rolls and do so.
Can I get an extra because I'm eager? Is that pushing it?
No, otherwise you're like, I'm eager to do everything, and then
Yeah,
and also
makes
you don't get an extra for that. You have to spend hope, and then the hope becomes 2 dice. But if anyone wants to spend hope, they can go ahead.
What does the X do? Because stealth is one of my cross
It means
skills.
yeah. We should have been doing that, folks. Yeah, that means it's favored. That means you roll the feat die twice and pick the higher value.
I see.
Yeah, I get that too.
There we go. I'm not sure, actually, we might not have had someone use a favored skill yet. Although if they had and they failed, sorry.
Good, because I had an 11 on my first one and a 4 on the second. But it's still a fail overall.
That's a good
10
roll.
total for me.
Wow. I got 25 on my roll.
Right.
I got a 20, so we're both doing good.
The hobbits are both fine. Sorry, Inga, did you say you failed?
Yep. 10 and target 16.
Good stuff.
An additional distraction.
So I'm assuming, Herb, that you're just remaining at the gate, kind of.
Yeah, I
What are you doing?
I'm basically, I think I'm a bit out of breath. So I rushing forward doesn't seem like the sort of thing for me.
That you do at this particular point. That's absolutely fine. So what happens here, the two hobbits, you sneak forward and kind of round the side of this yard and are kind of lurking in the shadows on one side. There's a couple of maybe crates and barrels against the wall there, and you're kind of like, you secreted yourself behind them. Ingrid, the young woman from Lake Town, far less naturally adept at stealth than hobbits. No fur on her feet for a start. And kind of you're treading forwards, and there, as you do so, there's a kind of crunch of gravelly stone underfoot, and the black walls kind of like wheel round and see you there. Herb, you don't think they've actually seen you back further behind, and at that point as well, Herb, you can hear just about kind of 12 foot away over on one side, like secreted away, in the base of where one of the building's thatch like nearly comes to the ground, and you can hear a small voice saying, "Just need a bit of flame and a place to put it." And then a sound which I will describe as the entire roof of one of the buildings next to the yard just erupts in flame. Turns out dry thatch, bit of a fire hazard.
She has a dark spirit to her.
Can I, if I've been immediately spotted, can I try and play it off with just that's right, leave him alone?
Yeah, sure. And
they suddenly appear.
And that would be an awe roll for you as well, I think. So why don't you give me an awe roll? And that might be fair. I think that's certainly an option for bardings to have that favoured, I think.
So that's a 10 on the feat die, but just a 14 total, which just
one under
15.
One under, and it is fair. Yeah, it's fair. Did you roll the feat die twice?
Yeah,
The best result. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, they're not particularly falling for that. Although at least two of them are kind of looking over at the raging flames that have erupted from one building and are very fast moving to other buildings nearby as well. And they're kind of looking away at that and don't seem overly concerned with you there. Whereas the one who is mainly taunting the hobbit tied up is kind of reaching to draw his sword to maybe charge and attack you with. Do we want volleys here, folks? The two at the back honestly look like they're about to dash off. Like, just get out of there or address the flames in some way or something like that. So let's shout. Who wants a volley out of this?
Yes, please. I would like to pop up from behind a barrel.
Sure. Yes. Absolutely. And I think you've been long enough there that I'm going to give you an extra die on that as well. Like, you can have had time to like to aim your shot. So take an extra die there if you like. Well, I'm assuming, I'm offering it, so I'm assuming you're going to take it.
Yes, yeah, I will happily take it.
I refuse to take the extra dice from the GM.
However,
Pity
again,
dice.
Winky does not seem to be good at this whole shooting thing. I get a 14. I do get a 10 on my feat die.
Oh, there would have been a piercing blow if you'd hit.
No,
but
just a 14.
Just a 14, never mind. Your arrow flies wild. Otho, did you say you were volleying with the spear?
As far as I'm imagining, I feel like it's a bit too far for me to like kind of throw a spear from where I am standing. So I might maybe when I charge in.
Sure. Okay. That's again a courageous choice.
Get the good shot.
Sure. So, with that in mind, let's drop into stances. Is anyone who's going forward?
Ingrid again.
Ingrid.
I think if I see that Ingrith they've one of them's clocked Ingrith, I think I'll also go forward to try and back her up.
Sure. Otho?
Otho's not feeling too good about having got a bit of a whack earlier, so maybe he's in defensive.
Sure. And Winky presumably rearward. Okay. Herb, what's your battle?
1.
Okay. Then we have Ingrith, Herb, Otho, Winky, Blackwalls. So Ingrith, I think, like, given the distraction and everything, I think your group is still going first, even though you were rumbled because of the volley that we got off. So why don't you roll to hit first? So don't forget to take an extra die for being forward. Yeah.
So I got a 6 on one of the die,
Mhm.
6 on the feet. Oh no, 9 on the feet die. Is that a total of 15, 21?
Nice. And with a Tengwar as well. So, and also, you got a 9 on the feet die. So no piercing blow. But your sword already does 4. And now you get to spend that Tengwar on like bonuses to your strike. There are a couple of options, and like there's a parry one that allows you to defend better next turn and stuff. For this would be my advice. There is one available to all weapons called Heavy Blow, which immediately adds your strength score to the damage you've dealt, which is not inconsiderable. Given your strength is 5, that actually more than doubles your strike. I would generally recommend that you employ that at this point, but it's entirely up to you which one you pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's charging in very much full heavy blow.
Sure. You charge in
going
at this, the one who's kind of drawing his sword, the main one who is taunting the tied up hobbit, and he has time to go, "Hey!" before you chop down again, carving through him, leaving him a broken body on the floor. The other two Blackwalls, John's going to kill me if I haven't put up the initiative here. The other two Blackwalls take one look at this, one look at the flames, and just go, "Get out of here!" And they're off. They dash through another gate at the back of this yard, underway. Yeah, you've definitely broken their spirit.
I will trot out next to Ingrith and say, "Good hit again."
Don't worry, friend. We're here to help you. And I'll start untying him.
He looks up at you with a somewhat grumpy look on his face and says, "It's about time. Was I expected to rescue myself?"
I'm so sorry. We got here as soon as we could. Your friend Celandine, she's nearby somewhere as well. Celandine!
I'm sure she is. He his hands come free and he's sort of working at the wrists to try and get. He looks like quite a young hobbit. He's got kind of a big kind of bush of quite curly hair. And he kind of looks around all up at you and says, "Well, come on, clodpoles. Get me out of here before the ruffians return. They want to sell me off like a sack of potatoes."
We've got to meet Amdir at the gate.
Amdir? Who's Amdir?
He broke us out of our prison. Some ranger.
A ranger.
Celandine comes kind of running from behind, kind of like tucking her tinderbox into her pack and says, just kind of dashes up to this other hobbit and says, "Mundo, it's so wonderful to see you well," and kind of embraces him, and he's kind of just wriggling a little bit under the attention.
As they embrace, I'm kind of looking around to see, is the fire like, we better go right now? And are there any other dangers?
Yeah, this entire encampment is going to be just completely on fire in not so long into the future.
Yeah, in that case, while they're kind of embracing, I'll be like, we really should go now and start trying to move people on towards the gate.
Yeah, Winky's already passed the group on the way to the gate.
Absolutely.
I hope there weren't any other prisoners trapped in any of these buildings.
Amdir will have got them by now.
You have a great sense of faith.
As you kind of now round the corner into the kind of the next yard over, and this yard leads straight to another one that you can see kind of off and to the right. And as you're kind of tumbling through that yard to kind of look round to where this area that looks to be the gate is, you can kind of see a large wooden gate in that next yard over. As you're striding forwards, all of you feel something wash over you. It starts as kind of like just almost a chill, which is odd given that the encampment is really now quite warm, and kind of you get goose flesh running across your arms, and the hair stands on the back of your neck, and then kind of the cold almost feels like ice in your muscles, like an involuntary cramp. And at the very peak of that, as you stride forward, you hear over the sound of the flames and the kind of slightly distant sound of Blackwolds panicking and attempting to leave the encampment, you hear just a screeching, hissing cry of rage echo out over the entire encampment. And then you round kind of the corner to look at the yard holding the gate, and in it you see two figures. One of them is Amdir holding a torch in one hand and his sword in the other, and kind of very much in a position where he looks like he's kind of like determined to hold his ground, but perhaps not entirely confident about what is about to occur. And across from him, you see a much larger figure mounted on a colossal dark horse. Is a figure clad only in a long, drowning black robe with just darkness where features normally would be. Perhaps the shadow of the hood is hiding their features, or perhaps not. In one hand, they clasp a horrid, jagged steel blade, and I think we have an image of this. As your eyes kind of alight on the dark rider on the horse, your hearts feel like they turn to stone in your chest. Can everyone give me, please? What we're doing is rolling against an effect called Dread, which potentially gives us something called Shadow, which is, broadly speaking, not great. But you do get a chance to defend against it, and I believe it's by rolling your Valor, which probably isn't that high. But let me just double check. I'm just going to look at John's cheat sheet here. Because you know what? I want to see what the actual... Oh, Valor is against your heart target number. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So, yeah, and at least someone... I think, Ingrid, your Valor is favored, so don't forget to roll your feat die twice.
So I have 1 Valor, and my target number is 15.
Do I have anything because I have Shadow Law here? Oh, this is a shadowy situation.
No, I don't think that will apply in this particular circumstance.
I'm weary. Does that affect things?
Yes, everything you roll, any 1s or 2s or 3s do not count.
Okay.
So we're just rolling the d12 and 1 dice for our Valor.
If you have 1 Valor, yes.
Mm-hmm. I think we all do.
It's an 11 for me.
You probably will do, yeah.
I got 5, which is a fail.
Yeah, because your target number is your heart, so...
Yep.
Well, I didn't succeed, but I did roll 12, so that means I do succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes, you do, yeah.
Cool.
What is that?
Yeah, and I only got an 11, so
Sure.
I didn't succeed either.
So anyone who failed entirely take 2 points of shadow, and anyone... so you got an auto success with the 12, did you say, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get any Tengwars with that?
No.
No. Then just take 1 point of shadow. As you watch, Amdir kind of glances over to where you are and sees you and sort of holds his sword hand up with like his palm out, like, stop, do not enter here. He turns back towards the Black Rider and he shouts something at it, You're not quite sure what. You can't kind of hear over the roar of the flames, the hissing of the Dark Rider, and kind of the sound of your heartbeats in your own ears. The only words you hear out of his mouth coherently, you're not sure whether he's calling the Dark Rider this or invoking it or something. You hear the words "Fallen King."
I sort of stumble backwards, trying to sort of not look at this king or whatever it is.
Sure. So are you trying to go through the gate into the yard?
Is that towards the king?
Yes, or towards the Dark Rider? Yes.
Towards the whatever this is, yeah.
Sure.
I am not. I don't want to go towards the Dark Rider.
Okay, sure.
If we look around, does it look like there's any other way to that gate, or any other kind of path, or is this?
No, sadly not. Everything behind you is basically either erupting in flames or about to erupt in flames. The building to the kind of opposite the main gate is also in flames. The only way through is and out of here is through this gate. Yeah.
What are they doing at the moment? Are they in like pitched battle?
No, they're sort of. They're not circling each other, but they're facing off essentially.
Okay.
Like the horse is slightly kind of pacing to one side.
We should help him, but I don't know if I can.
You must be brave, Herb.
Choice, do we? I guess. Kind of look around at everyone else, and is the gate kind of closed at the moment?
It looks like it's just closed too.
Okay, and if I stand at that gate spot, is that Dark Rider going to see me immediately?
Oh, you'd be surprised if it was not already aware of you.
Okay.
Assuming Amdir's like close enough that they can hear us, I think I'll say, "We're here for you, Amdir," and maybe take a step towards the gate.
Yeah. Sure. No. Yeah. Absolutely. You take a step towards it, and at that moment, kind of the Dark Rider's head wheels round towards you, and it gives a great sort of noise, and its horse just paces one step towards the gate where you are, and Amdir leaps forward, crying something in a language that none of you understand. And the Dark Rider wheels round, their swords clash for a moment, and then the Dark Rider, an advantage of height and skill, spins its blade round and down, and Amdir reels back, clutching at a wound in his shoulder. And as this happens, the building behind him kind of collapses in flames, and timbers spill out all over the yard and kind of flare up. The Dark Rider wheels its horse round, and you hear kind of over the top of the flames. It doesn't sound loud enough to be heard over the flames, but you hear it nevertheless. A whispering voice from under the hood saying, "Accursed flames, burn, fools!" Wheels the horse round, canters it towards the gate, and just batters the gate down with the weight of the horse and off out into the night. Amdir is on the floor, kind of rolling to one side, clutching at the wound with a pained expression on his face.
Definitely open the gate then.
Yeah, now that
I think.
yeah, now that the Dark Rider's gone, can I is there any way through to get to Amdir?
Yeah, the yard is fully available now. He's just lying on the ground.
In which case, I'll rush over and I'll try and stem the bleeding. I've got some healing herbs with me, so I'll try and pack them in, just to try and help in some way.
Sure, absolutely. You dash over. I would say that in your healer's opinion, it may actually be wiser to get it out of this flaming yard first before you attempt to fight.
As Winky's doing that, I'll look at the two humans and just go we need to get him out of here now.
Yeah, because Ingrid was going to rush right over and say, "We've got to get him away from the flames," and start trying to pull an arm over and try and drag
Sure.
him.
Yeah. Between you and Herb, you can heave him up and start to drag him out. As you do so, he gives kind of a strangled cry as you unfortunately have to move the arm at the top of which he's been wounded, and Celandine is kind of walking along behind you with kind of one hand over her mouth, saying, "That poor man, will he be all right?"
Yes, he's strong. You'll be all right, Andy. You're going to be all right. Winky's going to help you. You're going to be all right. Come on, we're nearly there.
As you're kind of heaving him towards the gate, you and Herb can hear him kind of talking quite softly to you, saying, "Do not concern yourself with me. The greatest danger has passed. They fear those who wield fire. Archit is nearby." As you bring forward Celandine's voice from behind, he says, I know the way to Archit. I can lead us there." Herb, I mean, the two hobbits as well, but Herb definitely. Archit is a village of considerable size, on the outskirt, like relatively near Bree. You know of it.
We'll be able to get better medical to you, Archit. They'll have healers.
Can I look around for like a cart or something that we could use to put him on to pull him rather than have to try and carry him?
Where you emerge out into the darkness and find yourself on kind of a long battered lane that's you see kind of rolling fields with dots of woodland on either side, vaguely familiar as the outskirts of the Chetwood where you were ambushed. There does not seem to be any kind of horses or carts or anything of that nature nearby. It seems like perhaps an uncomfortable walk is ahead for Ingrid and Herb as they carry the Ranger Amdir to safety. And as that happens, folks, I think it's time for our first break, because that seems like an excellent point to break, and also we're about the right time, right? So we'll be back in about 10 minutes. So grab a drink and a snack, and we'll return to tell you more of our tale. Thank you. Yeah, remember to mute, guys, as the video goes on. Catch you later.